Welcome, I'm Barbie Wong, and I want to tell you the most important habit to cultivate when it comes to music practicing. And this is something that if you are someone who's making music, or if you have a child who's making music, is very important. And it's one of the first things that I tell the parents of my students to cultivate when they first come to my studio. And that is the habit of playing every day, of daily practice. Now, you've probably heard this before, right? Oh, it's so important to practice daily. But I want to tell you the science behind it, because once I figured this out, then I realized, oh, this is actually very helpful to a lot of people. And a lot of people have told me, thank you for explaining it this way, because then it really helps drill home why it's so important for music practice to happen on a daily basis. So there's a researcher out at UCLA named Wendy Wood, and she talks about what happens in the brain when it comes to our brain functioning. And she says basically we have two brains. There is the conscious brain, the one that is, if we were to think about what's happening now, you're consciously listening to what I'm saying, hopefully, and taking in this information. It's, new information, and you're present. And then there's the habit brain, or the automatic brain. And that's the brain that helps us drive a vehicle. It's what happens, after many, many years of brushing our teeth. We don't have to be thinking specifically, rotate this way, hold the toothbrush, angle it here. It's basically actions we've done so many times that it becomes part of this automatic brain. And the automatic brain, actually, we use that 43% of the time when we're awake. And so that's something that's very important to think about, right? If we use that brain, that automatic brain, then it allows us to do other things. And it's actually much more relaxing. So the conscious brain actually takes up a lot of energy. So when you're learning a new musical passage, then you need your conscious brain. But if you use your conscious brain the entire time and your entire day, you would be exhausted. So the automatic brain is there to help us through all of these tasks that, are a little mundane. It really helps us get through the day. And what happens with music practicing is, in the beginning, if you don't have a habit of practicing, then you need to use more space in your brain, more energy to remember to practice, to then practice. And what happens is, through repetition, if you actually practice daily, if you have your child practice daily, after some time, it shifts into the automatic brain. So then it becomes much more easy for your child, for you, if you're making music, to then play that instrument. It becomes a habit. I have two teenagers, and I was just talking to my 13-year-old the other day, and I was about to teach a parent workshop, and my kid said, oh, I'm just gonna go practice piano. It was on the weekend, matter of fact. And I just said, oh, I just noticed you just very normally you're going to practice the piano. Why do you think that is? Well, you're not resisting it. You seem like you're happy with it. And the response was, well, I've just been doing this all the time. It's a habit. And that's precisely why it's so important to practice every day, because then it becomes such a habit that it's very easy to do. When people want to lose weight, when they want to exercise, usually we're dealing with habits, and it's usually trying to do things that are, changing of habits. And so if you think about practicing music, that's the same way. And so there's certain things that you can do to make it happen. You can make music a priority. So that's the first thing, is really think about music as a priority. So if your kid is in 6 different sports, then making music becomes less of a priority, and then that's just not going to happen as much. So making that a priority means you're choosing to let other things go. And music is such a wonderful activity. I highly recommend making that a priority, because it's something your kid can do for the rest of their lives, and it's so soothing to the soul. So make it a priority. Make sure that you are present to help the practicing happen. And the second thing you can do is you can set a time when it happens regularly. So finding a time when your child is alert, or if you are the one who's making music, when you are alert, something where you're free from distractions, right? And so making it a priority and finding a time, and then setting a reminder. I know I forget things all the time. I love my phone because of that alarm. So set an alarm on your phone to beep when it's time to practice. Because I guarantee you, if you can make that a habit, after some weeks, some months into this, it will be so much easier. And a lot of times parents will say, well, I want my kids to have ownership over this, or, I really want them to own this thing. And the thing I say is, you know what? A lot of kids really need some help with this. Think about how many years it's taken your kids to learn or to remember to brush their teeth, twice a day at least. It takes time. And so as parents, we can really help our kids and remind them. And it's totally fine. So many people have been reminded. Alicia Keys was reminded to practice the piano. So was Joshua Bell, right? There were times when he even resisted practicing. And, look at him. If his mom was not there, present and supportive, we wouldn't have this incredible musician making music for all of us. So remember, when your kid doesn't want to practice, it's okay. You just keep at it. And what happens too is when you keep at it, your child sees their improvement, right? If your child is only practicing once a week, they're not going to improve. And I can tell you, when you don't improve on something, on anything, it can start to feel really disheartening. It can really feel hard, actually. So it's actually very helpful to have your child practice every day, because then they improve. And with improvement, then there is a sense of ownership, a sense of pride, and then motivation. So remember to make practice a habit, make practice the most important habit, and soon enough, you will have a child who is making music and making music happily. So thank you so much for watching. I also do some parent workshops, and I have, different videos, and I have a blog. So you can check all that out on my website. And please also leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you've made practicing a habit, or all the different struggles or things that you have found that have been helpful. So thank you again for being here today. I hope you live from the heart and play with joy.